Hello, good morning, friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm back again, and this is in continuation of my previous video of AWS Lambda components, important terms and components of AWS Lambda. Okay, so AWS Lambda executes your code only when needed and it scales automatically from a few seconds per day to 1,000 requests per day. And the executes happens based on various types of triggers. See, let us understand these points. So, as we discussed in previous videos also, AWS Lambda execution executes our code only when it is needed. Like when we deployed our code, okay, and with AWS Lambda, it is not like that. It is all the day it is running. Okay, whenever it is required, whenever it required by means it it re, uh, it needs any trigger. Okay, it the Lambda function runs on any trigger. Like you can execute a code on a certain frequency, like every 15 minutes I want to run a particular script, okay, or on a particular interval you want to execute some script, okay. So that is one trigger. Or you want the trigger to the code to run on any hit, like if somebody hits a particular URL, okay, then that the particular code of blocks should be executed, okay. So and there are and also we said lambda function works in conjunction of other AWS services like SNS, AWS storage, okay, and other related to other workflows also. So when there is any event, okay, when there is any trigger, then only the code will execute, okay. And for the time the code will execute, the lambda function will work, will be active, okay. So the point is, it is the code what we deployed with AWS Lambda is not running all the day. It only runs as per the need, as per the requirement, and based on any trigger. Okay, and trigger we can decide like whether we want to run it on certain frequency, or we want to run on any webhook with the help of any on trigger of any webhook, or any on hit of any web URL. Okay, Lambda function further provides the function URL also, that URL you can hit on any browser, and your in the backend code will be executed. Okay, so the function code we will discuss in the later coming videos. Okay, that is the first point. Secondly, AWS Lambda charges you only for the compute time you consume in round of values of 100 milliseconds. No additional cost will occur. See, it is once again related to the flexible charging model of AWS Lambda. Like as we said, it works on any based on any trigger, like when you hit any function URL, or when any object is uploaded on S3 storage, okay, or any related event happens, okay, or on any certain frequency, like if you have written a code and you want to run that code in quarterly and every 15 minutes in an hour, okay, so your code is going to execute only 4 times in an hour, okay, and during that 4 times, let's say it's consumed how many milliseconds it will consume, the lambda AWS is going to charge you for those particular milliseconds only, okay, and there is no additional charge, okay. And charging is happen is 100 milliseconds in the round of value of 100 millisecond, like if there is uh, uh, 550 milliseconds, then it will charge you for 600 milliseconds, okay. So it is a rounding off for the 100 milliseconds, okay. That is the concept of flexible charging model of AWS Lambda. And all you need to provide your code in the form of Lambda function to AWS Lambda in one of the following languages. In your preferred language, we can say, like Node.js, Java, PowerShell, C Sharp, Ruby, Python, and Golang. You write your script, you deploy with AWS Lambda, and service can run your code. There are features of provide custom runtime apart from these standard languages also, but that is a different topic. We will discuss that separately. Okay, but standard languages are supported with AWS Lambda. Okay, all the running standard languages like we have mentioned here, like Node.js, Python, C Sharp, Ruby, and Go. So that is one thing. Typically, the lifecycle of AWS Lambda function based on the application includes code authoring, code deployment of AWS Lambda, and then testing, invocation and monitoring and troubleshooting. So all these are the steps of AWS Lambda, like writing the script, developing the utility, okay, deploying the code to AWS Lambda, and testing. Invocation and monitoring, like invocation means how the function will trigger, at what time, what particular point the application will run. So that is exactly the trigger, like on which action we want to execute our utility or the function. Okay, so the triggers we will see in upcoming videos. Like there are different kind of triggers, and it works in conjunction of various other AWS services also. And the monitoring and troubleshooting, like if there is any error, how we can trace the error, how we can tackle that. Okay, so with the help of AWS CloudWatch, we can enable the logging, okay, and debug log and error log, and we can find out where there is any error or any loopholes or any bottleneck of the utility. All those things we can trace. This is Exchange for flexibility, which means you cannot log into the compute instances or customize the operating system and language runtime. Like, so let us understand this point. Exchange of flexibility, like Lambda function gives you the flexibility of the cost, like it will it provisions the resources in the background as per the need and uh, the requirement of the utility or the application. But we don't have the access to those resources, like we whatever EC2 instances or the virtual machine it is going to provision in the background for running our application or utility. Okay, it's all AWS Lambda's responsibility. We don't have any access, okay, we cannot log into those EC2 instances, the virtual machine, but it is highly available, and stands in support of the AWS Lambda to make it always available. Okay, and even if you want to uh, having access to those infrastructure, the resources where our application is utility is running, then AWS Lambda is not preferable. Then we have to move to other options like EC2 instance or Elastic Beans. Okay, there we will have the access to the resources. We can log into the take the remote desktop and log into the machine. Okay, and we can additionally install additional softwares also on those machines. Okay, if that kind of requirement, then we will have to move to the virtual machines, not with the AWS Lambda. AWS Lambda is completely serverless purpose. Like it definitely it has servers in the background, but we don't have to worry about those servers, and we don't have to access even on those servers. Okay, so this is the end of the important terms and components of the Lambda. Stay connected. We will move on other videos in the next topic, next seasons. Thank you very much.